Hello beautiful soul! I have an absolutely gorgeous marled knit pattern to show you today called Meltage by Candy Key, and I think you are going to love it. Meltage is inspired by dripping, melting snow, and it features a nice boxy fit, a comfy, cushy cowl neck, beautiful cables along the sides, and these really fun invisible seams. So I really think this is going to become your new best friend as the weather changes because it's perfect for layering. This pattern makes me feel like everything is okay with the world and I am protected and loved and cozy. Meltage does have a nice boxy fit, so picking your size is going to be a breeze, and you do pick your size for this based on your hip measurement. Now if you want to make sure and get the perfect fit before you knit your full item, check out my video on how to make a mock-up before you knit your piece. It's going to save you so much time. Also, talking about sizes, check this out. So this beautiful burgundy version was made for me and it's a size medium. Now this blue version is actually a size medium as well, but this is for Tim. So since Tim's a little bit taller than me and he has broader shoulders, we added a few inches to this, so it's a perfect fit for him. Another gorgeous feature about Meltage is this cushy, cozy cowl neck. It's really going to keep you nice and toasty when the winds start to whistle. And another option for this pattern, if you wanted a crew neck instead of this beautiful cowl neck, you could just knit a few rows of ribbing and have a crew neck. So that's another option for you. Now here's the really awesome thing. This pattern has such a gorgeous look because you actually marl the yarn. So you hold one strand of DK weight with one strand of fingering weight throughout the project, and you just pretend that's one strand of yarn and you get this absolutely stunning look. But here's the really cool thing. Since you are marling two colors together, you have so many options. So for example, for this version, we used a speckled color for the fingering weight and a solid color for the DK weight. And then for Tim's version, we just used a solid color for both. So you can see that they look slightly different, but both so gorgeous. But you really have so many options. You could do a solid color for the DK weight and then a gradient for the fingering, so you get this gorgeous subtle gradient. But really, you could do so many different things, and I'm so excited to see what you all come up with. And here's something that might be helpful before you make your full item. Make some swatches first using the yarn that you want to use for the actual piece to make sure that you love it before you start knitting. To download the pattern, head to expressionfiberarts.com. Also, we will put the direct link in the description box for you. And while you're there on the site, go ahead and sign up for email updates for coupon codes and weekly free patterns. So to make this piece, you're going to actually start here in the front and you're going to knit all the way up, all the way down to the back, so it's all one piece. You're going to make the cowl neck separately and seam that in, and then you have these fun little magical invisible seams, and that is what I'm going to show you how to do today. Let's learn how to seam invisibly. So here is the front of your garment. So you started knitting down here and worked your way up. So your columns look like little V's. So you're going to follow the pattern instructions for how far up and how far over to place your stitch marker. And when you've decided where that should be, you're going to place your stitch marker in the bar between your columns. So how do you make sure that you're actually between your columns and not in the middle of a column? Jump over here and you can see your little V's right next to your beautiful cables here, and just count your V's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in this case I have 7. And so right next to that, boom, I've got my little stitch marker in the bar between the columns. Now on the back, it's reversed. So you knitted this piece from the front all the way in one continual piece to the back. But when you came here, you were actually working this direction, so your little V's are upside down. So to get this stitch marker between columns, you're going to count upside down V's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then your stitch marker should be right next to that, in the bar next to that, and you'll know you're between columns. So I'm going to jump over here to some swatches I've got and show you how to seam these. So get a darning needle and thread some yarn onto that, and you're going to use the same yarn that you used for your piece. I'm just using contrasting yarn so that you can see it. Alright, so this is the front, and here's our stitch marker, which is in this bar between these two columns here. So you're going to go ahead and come up from inside the garment under your marker, so right under that little bar, and pull up, leaving a good little tail on the inside. We're going to use that later. Now you're going to skip 2 bars and go back down. So look here between your columns, and you can see all these little bars. So you're going to skip 2 bars, 1, 2, and you're going to go down back into the inside of the garment after skipping those 2 bars. So this is the last time that you're going to need to look at the front. We're done looking at the front for now. Now we're going to move to the back. So I'm going to go ahead and flip, and we're not going to come up where this stitch marker is. We're going to insert our needle into the space 2 bars above. So go ahead and skip those next 2 bars, skip, and you're going to come up in the space above. So you've skipped 2 bars and you're coming up in the space above. Now we're going to jump 2 bars again, so jump this next bar and jump over the next one and go down into the space on top of those 2 bars. Now we're done with the back, we're not going to look at the back again. Now we're going to go ahead and open this up. Here's what we've got so far. Now we're going to hop over here to the front. So here's the bar where this little stitch is coming out of, this little yarn. And you're going to jump up, and what you're going to do is skip the next 2 bars. So skip the next bar on top of that and the next bar, and you're going to grab the next 2 bars, making sure that you're still in the same column. Go ahead and pull that up, and you can leave it loose for now. Then hop to the back, and over here in the same column, you're going to skip the next bar, skip the next bar, and grab the next 2 bars, like so. And you're going to continue repeating this as mentioned in the pattern for the length of seam that you want. So over here on the front, skip, skip, grab the next 2 bars, and then on the back again, make sure you're going up, skip, skip, grab the next 2 bars. And you should end up with a bunch of parallel lines that look like this. And I'm going to go ahead and finish over here on the front. Skip, skip, and grab the next 2 bars. So yours should look something like this. Now we want to make sure that the back and the front don't shift over time, because as you can see where the yarn comes out on the front, it's not the same level as on the back, same down here. So we're going to create sort of a little circle and knot this off so that the panels stay level over time. So to create our little knot, what you're going to do is go down into the next bar on the back panel. So jump over here, here's your little bars you've been working into, so go down into the next bar here on the back panel. You can see we're getting sort of a little circle going on. We're going to go ahead and slide up through this little piece of yarn here. Now we're going to go down into the top bar on the front panel. So jump back over here, this little top bar here on the front panel, go down into that. And you're going to leave a little bit of a loop and just slide your yarn back up through that. And you're going to pull all of this nice and tight so you have a little cinched knot. I'm not going to go super tight today because I want you to see what I'm doing. So to weave in your end, you're going to go back up through the final bar on the front panel, so right here, and the one above it. And then just take your needle and go back down through the original knot. And again, yours is going to be a little bit tighter. Go ahead and cinch that off. And then if you want, you can weave this end for extra security, which I would do. Now, before we knot the bottom, what you want to do is make sure you get this seam the correct stretchiness. So you don't want it this loose, but you also don't want it so tight that this seam doesn't stretch like the rest of the piece. So go ahead and start working from the top and pulling your yarn down through, making sure you've got a good amount of stretch, not too tight, but tight enough that it is a good solid seam. And just give it a little stretch, make sure you like how it's stretching, and then you're good to knot the bottom. Okay, you're going to go ahead and thread your bottom thread onto a darning needle. Jump over here onto the back panel and see your little marked bar here. You're going to go ahead and go up that bar and grab that next one. So we're starting to create a little circle here, going around like this. Doop. Now you're going to take your needle and go down into the bottom bar on the front. So grab your front panel. See this bottom bar that we worked into? Go down into that, creating more security. Now go up this little middle strand here, create a little bit of a knot, and you can go ahead and cinch that up a little bit. So do a little bit more than I'm doing. I just want to keep it loose so you can see what I'm doing. Now you're going to go up the bar below this bottommost one and this one. So go ahead and jump down to the bar below that one, grab it, and this bottommost bar that you worked into. Go up those, and then you're good to go to work back down through that original knot. And then again, go ahead and cinch that up. Again, you can weave in this excess tail for extra security if you like. So you can see here on the front panel, even though I used contrasting yarn, you can still barely see those little loops in the seam. And it will definitely be perfectly blended in when you use the actual yarn. And then on the back, check it out. So you can see the little loops there and there and there. And when you use the same yarn, they blend in perfectly and you can't even see it. And you can see it creates a nice, beautiful little seam. It's still got stretch and give, and it's nice and secure. So that is how you work these beautiful invisible seams. I hope that that was helpful. Remember to find time to knit this week, be good to yourself, and soak up every precious moment. They truly are gifts for us. And be sure to check back next week because we have a very special new pattern to show you then. All right, my friend, ta-ta for now. Mwah.